it's time to get started. Welcome everyone to the Ram Fam Empower Hour, the last formal event of our family weekend. We made it. It's been a great weekend and we've so enjoyed having the Ram Fam on campus. Welcome to our Empower Hour. We are excited to feature 4 awesome departments on our campus, and they were specifically selected because you all in your survey answers this spring shared with us that you wanted to learn more about these offices. So you'll hear from the Career Development Center, the Counseling Center, the Learning Assistance and Resource Center, and our off-campus and Commuter Center. And these offices will all give a 15-minute or so presentation and share about their resources. So you'll get the price of 4 for the cost of 1, which is free. And we will enjoy their time together. At the end, I will share their email addresses so you can learn more about their services. And we are recording this event. So we want to let you know that we are recording and that we will have this to share with you at the end of the weekend. So thank you so much. Over to you, Jen Rossi Long, to talk about the Career Center.
Great. Thank you so much, Lexi. And hi, everyone. Really looking forward to just spending a few minutes with you here. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a few slides, though this is pretty informal, but this will help keep me on track because I love talking about career development. And so I think without my outline, I could go on for a full hour, and there's some good stuff that you're going to be hearing from other departments. So I don't want to do that to you. So anyway, my name is Jen. I'm the director of the Career Development Center on campus. I'm also a proud alum of Westchester, and I've been back in the Career Center for the past 3 years. Actually launched my career in the Career Development Center as well many, many years ago, left, and now I'm happy to be back. So certainly excited to talk to you about empowering students' career success and what we do in the center. So up top here, you'll see our mission statement. So we're the bridge connecting students and alumni to the professional world, introducing them to who they can become. And I'll talk a little bit more about sort of our process and our career engagement model, because that word become is really important to us. And that's why we have that highlighted. Underneath that, you'll see our commitment to inclusion. That's another really important thing that sort of drives our work and informs the work that we do. But I want to talk a little bit, as you're sort of taking these 2 statements in, I want to talk a little bit about what our mission and action actually looks like. So what it is creating and maintaining this culture of career development on campus. And that means from the time that a student comes to Westchester, they understand that they're on campus to launch into something when they complete their degree. And they might not know what that is yet, and that is okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But the idea that they are preparing for something and that this is a process that will take them the 4 years to go through. And so that culture of career development is really dependent on us being visible, meaning students have to know who we are and what we do. So when we are physically on campus, that looks like bringing the center and our services outside of the 4 walls that are our office, and going into the spaces where students are living, learning, and hanging out. So we're in the classroom working with faculty and doing presentations and career assignments. We do a lot of work with student clubs and organizations. We table in different locations across campus to answer students' questions. And so when we've been remote, like over the past year, being visible looked like, okay, where are we? Are we in the digital spaces where students are? So we invested a lot more in our Instagram presence and YouTube and creating video content that students could access when they needed it. So that's what being visible means to us. Having a culture of career development is also really dependent on us being approachable. And I'm not talking about just friendly faces in the center, although I think we're pretty friendly folks on the team, but I'm talking about making that concept of career exploration and development approachable, meaning students actually want to engage in it. To us, that's a really important thing. Dare I say that we try to make career development fun, but you'd have to check with your student on that as to whether or not they're actually having fun with it, but we certainly are having fun with it, and we see it as a really exciting time for them. And lastly, in order to have this culture of career development, it has to be inclusive. So on our campus, the Career Center is centralized, meaning there's one career office, and we serve the entire campus. So we serve all. And so when you say you serve all, you have this incredible responsibility to make sure that there aren't barriers to accessing your services. And if you uncover a barrier, being able to address it and remove it so that all students can find career success. And so that's sort of our mission in action, and that's what we're constantly working towards in terms of this culture of career development. And so here's just our career engagement model, which I referenced earlier. So when you think about the name career development, a lot of people focus in on career, students in particular, and that might be something they're feeling a certain way about, maybe a little anxious, or they see it as something they have to think about in the future. But we encourage students to focus on the word development in our name, because that's what tells a student that career is a process. It's something that you try on for size. If it doesn't work, you pivot and you try something else. And this is the model we use for that. So it starts with explore up there at the top. So we're looking at explore when students are figuring out what are my skills, interests, and values, and how might I apply them to a major? How might I apply that major to a career? Then they go into the preparation phase where they're doing things like getting their resume together, understanding the concepts of networking, practicing their interview skills, and then they're actually getting that experience. So for some students, that's an internship, that could be research, study abroad, a creative endeavor. There's so many wonderful ways to get experience. And then from there, a student has to reflect and say, okay, did I actually enjoy that experience as much as I thought I would? If I did, great, I'm going to keep moving in this direction. If I didn't, you know what, I might switch paths, and that's okay. And they're going to keep going through this process throughout their life, because again, it is a process. So that's a little bit about the sort of like 100,000 foot, that's what we do and why we do it. This is specifically what we do here. So we do offer appointments and drop-ins, which is one-on-one career development support with students. So we have a career counseling and education team that's really doing that one-on-one in it with the students, answering their questions and helping them based on their goals, decide how they want to move forward. So it's not like a student comes in and says, I want to look for an internship, and we say, okay, here's the internship search package, good luck. The counselors really take time to talk to the students, understand what their personal goals are, maybe some challenges they're having, and works with them as an individual person to get to where they want to go. So again, it's developmental. We offer a number of resources on demand. And so that I talked a little bit about before, I mentioned in terms of our YouTube channel. So having video content and playlists that are just short snippets that can kind of get some ideas rolling for the students in terms of what they think they might want to do. We do offer career education. A lot of that is, classroom assignments and partnering with faculty. It's also some things that we're delivering. So for example, if you were on Instagram, we've got a weekly career show on Instagram that drops Fridays at noon. It's called Fridays with Franz. Eric Franz is one of our assistant directors in the office, and he does a 2 or 3 minute video on a different career topic. He gets feedback from students on what they want to hear about, and it's about starting the conversation and sparking some, I never thought about the difference between a resume and a CV or something like that. So those have been really, really popular, and we're looking forward to continuing that. And then, of course, we offer connection to alumni and to employers. So this is that bridge to the professional world. And that could look like some of the job and internship fairs that we host, which we do have our first job and internship fair coming up in about a week and a half. So that's exciting. That's going to be virtual this year just because of the sheer size of that event. But we're looking forward to being able to offer a lot of opportunity to students through that. We have employers that come and do resume and interview sessions with the students. So while we do resume reviews and mock interviews and things like that, we also invite professionals to come in and help with that too, just to give their perspective from their industry, which has been really helpful. We host different industry meetups, which is essentially more of like a networking event. It's really a place where, instead of a job and internship fair, which is a bit transactional, you hand over your resume, the students give their introduction, they maybe ask a question or two, and then they move on to the next table. The meetups are really about asking someone, what is it like to work in this particular industry or in your job function or for the employer you work for? So they're really designed for more conversation. And then Handshake and Ram Nation are 2 online platforms that I'm going to talk a little bit more about later, but Handshake is essentially our job and internship board. So that is a huge connector to students and for students and opportunities. And Ram Nation is our alumni mentoring platform where students can find someone and do an informational interview. So that's sort of the different areas of what we do. These are the specific things that we help with. So if a student comes in for an appointment, if we're doing a workshop, it's going to be centered on one of these topics. So we do a lot of major and career exploration and some career assessments in that like first and second year, where students are, some of them, still trying to crystallize, okay, so what do I think I want to do here with my skills? We do resume and cover letter reviews. We help students build their job and internship search strategy, which it's really important to have a multifaceted strategy there. So we help them to make sure that they're, not just applying for jobs online, which could be part of the strategy, but there's other things that they can do to get a better return on that. We help them prepare for interviews, and that includes virtual interviews, which is really big right now. So we help in both of those spaces with networking and LinkedIn, which is a professional networking site. And then, of course, the graduate school search strategy, similar almost to a job and internship search strategy, just making sure that students are factoring in multiple strategies there, so that it's not just I'm applying online or I'm just searching online. So I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit more about Handshake and Ram Nation later. So this slide seems like the one. So we do utilize what I consider cutting edge career tools, because we were really specific in choosing what we were going to use in each of these categories, because we wanted Westchester students to have access to the best tools to help them be successful. So I mentioned Handshake was our job and internship board, but it's also an event platform where students can find out about all types of events that are happening and being hosted by employers. Handshake currently gets just over 33,000 job and internship opportunities per year that are posted for Westchester students. Over 33,000. So we are certainly excited to be able to offer that to students. Handshake was built specifically to democratize access to information and opportunities. So it's basically a centralized job board. So a student doesn't have to know, which office to go to or which professor to talk to have access to an opportunity. It's in Handshake, and that's where they go to find that opportunity. And that's the point of it, that every student can benefit from those opportunities. Ram Nation is, I mentioned, our alumni mentoring platform. We consider it flash mentoring. So that means that a student could do an informational interview. Like, they don't have to have a mentor for a whole year. It could certainly grow into that organically, but a student could just do an informational interview. So reaching out to an alum to say, your job title sounds interesting. Can you tell me a little more about your career path or what you do day to day? They can request a job shadow with that alum if they actually want to, be there right next to the alum and get a sense of, what does a typical day as this job look like? Or they can ask for a mock interview from someone in their field, which could be really powerful too. And we have just over 900 alumni that are in the Ram Nation platform that are ready to help students. So there's a lot of opportunity to make connections across different fields. And then lastly, here is Big Interview. So this is an online mock interviewing platform where a student can pick a particular interview, maybe based on like a job function or an industry, or they can pick a general one. They can build their own interview if they're struggling with specific interview questions. But someone on screen will read a question to them, they answer the questions, and their response gets recorded. And then the student gets a link where they can share that recording with someone in the Career Center, a faculty member. We've got a lot of faculty that use this as a classroom assignment. They could send it to a mentor, to a parent, family member, anyone that they want to get feedback from. They can actually watch the interview and give some feedback. And while it's painful sometimes for the students to have to record themselves and watch it back, I think everyone can appreciate that. It is such an amazing tool for them to be able to improve and keep making progress, excuse me. All right, so my last slide here, I had to do a little bit of myth busting, because I think it's empowering to understand like what career development is and what it isn't, and how it actually functions. And so you'll see here, the first one is that students should start engaging in career development in their junior or senior year. So that's a no. And I think I talked about that a little bit earlier, where we want students to start in their first year, because there are a lot of things that go into the process. But if you break it down over 4 years, it's very, very manageable. If you wait till second semester of your senior year to figure out what you want to do, get your resume together, practice interviewing, figure out your networking strategy, figure out how you're going to job search. Like that is a lot in one semester. So again, this is a process that goes over the time that they're here. The next thing is that career development is something you need to put on a suit to do. So I put, nope, that's not a thing. Eventually, and depending on their industry, they'll get to a point where they may have to be in professional dress. When they come into our office, that's not the case. If they're coming to one of our workshops, they don't have to be dressed up to do it. They can just come as they are and as they are comfortable, and they're going to come and learn and hopefully, like I said, have a little bit of fun. But it's not like we're sitting in the Career Center in suits waiting to judge them. Like we are, approachable people, and we want them to feel comfortable in the process. And we'll let them know when it's time to put on the professional dress. The next one is that your major is a direct path to your career, and that's a nope. But then I put most of the time, because there are certain technical career paths where it is a little bit more prescribed because you're on a particular path. But for the most part, majors are really this collection of skill sets, and it's dependent on what you're bringing to the table too. And it provides a foundation to many different paths. So we have alumni that are in all kinds of careers that don't obviously connect to what their major was. That's certainly true for me as well. And so it's about having the student understand you have to pick a major that you like and in which you can do well, in which you'll excel, because that's really the best that they can do. And as they're figuring out what they want to do and how they want to apply it, employers are more interested in skill set than major. Just time and time over, this is what we hear from employers. Then the last myth on here is just that you have to have it all figured out now, or that everyone else has it all figured out. That is a big nope. Save that one for last. That's the biggest nope. That's not it. That's just not true. I mean, if you study career paths and you look across the span of somebody's life, they are going to change jobs, and in some cases careers. At least most people will. We don't want to make a generalization that it's all people. And so the whole point is not to make the right decision one time and then that's going to carry you through your career. It's making the first decision that you need to make in this. And then if that doesn't work out, or if that's not satisfying for someone or meeting some need that they have, it's about being able to pivot and being able to figure that out. And it's okay if they come to college and they don't know, because college is an incredible opportunity to figure that out. So that was just a little myth busting, and that's all I have for you today. So thank you so much for your time. Here's just some ways that you can stay connected with the Career Development Center, and I sincerely hope that you will. The information on our Instagram and YouTube and that's content for all, so please feel free to be connected with us there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. What a great presentation that really gave us a high-level overview of how the RAM Fam can support our students in their career journey. So thank you so much. Next up, we have Dr. Bree Gold from the Counseling Center to talk about the counseling services available to our students. So over to you, Dr. Gold.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here to talk to you all about the Counseling Center and some of the services we provide and resources that we have that your student can avail themselves to. So in a minute, I'll be navigating through our website because I think it's a really good way to share all of that information and also show you where you can find it again in the future if you would like a refresher. But before I do that and share my screen, I just want to talk just for a moment about, some of the things that your student might be going through now that might be bringing up just some form of distress, and to acknowledge that, no matter what year your student is, we're all going through inordinate adjustment and change right now. So fall is always a period of adjustment for new students coming to campus for the first time, even students who are returning, progressing in their academics or in their social life. Coming back in the fall is always there can be some bumps in the road in the fall where you sort of reground yourself into your routines and life on campus. But that's especially true this year because, almost all of our students were virtual last year, even if they were students at Westchester, or they could have been, first year students who were finishing up their high school experience in online learning. And so, just sort of getting back into the swing of attending classes in person or socializing more in person is an even bigger change and adjustment now than it typically is. And so I guess, I just want to empower you to find ways to talk to your student about that. And the more comfortable you can be in sort of wondering with your student about how they're doing emotionally and with all this change, the more likely you will be to sort of get a glimpse into how they're doing. And have them, share with you how it's going. And so, that could mean talking directly with the student and saying, how are you doing? How is it to be back on campus more explicitly? It could be, sometimes riding in a car together is a good time to chat, because the student doesn't feel like you're grilling them, or that you're sitting across the table staring at them while they're maybe telling you some vulnerable things. Or could be if you're engaged in an activity, go on a walk, play a sport together, things like that. And just sort of generally be curious, and also for yourself, and to predict for your student that they might be experiencing distress. It wouldn't be surprising or unusual if they were feeling more anxious, maybe a little more down or isolated, or feeling like they're having to put more effort into socializing than they did in the past. All of these things are pretty typical right now. And so being able to talk with them about that and sort of anticipate that it might be, there might be some bumps this fall, but that also, your expectation would be that it'll start to feel better. That's what, typically happens, is that if you get more experience with something through a transition, then it can start to feel a little more comfortable. And, what we also know is that for some students, that won't be the course, and that's okay too. And so that's why I'll talk to you today a little bit about some of the services and resources we have, in case you feel like your student maybe is in need of a little more support as they transition back to campus, or, frankly, at any time while they're a student here. So let me get to what I want to share here. So this is just, the homepage of our website for the Counseling Center. And so I'm just going to alert you to, I'm going to get myself out of the way here. There you go. A couple things right when you pop into the website that are helpful. The first thing is right here. Right on the corner is just a tab for contacting the Counseling Center. If you just quick and easy want to know, how do I call them? Where are they? You just click on that. We're in the Lawrence Center with a lot of the services that you'll be hearing from today. And, there's our phone number. If you're curious, or your student is curious about how to contact us, the phone is always an easy way to do that. And Lexi's going to share our General Counseling Center email address later too. Certainly another place that we want to make easy to access is emergency resources. So if your student is having a mental health emergency, that's a quick place just to click on. You can get, the local ones in terms of public safety and our counseling center, and then more, for the county. And then these are some lifelines and text line. I do find that students tend to have more comfort with this text line. As we all know, more and more communication is happening via texting than phone conversations a lot of time. And so if you have a student who might be hesitant to call someone, they can use this crisis text line, where there's trained professionals who can support them and navigate them to whatever resources they need. Okay, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about the clinical services that we provide, like individual and group counseling in a minute, but one of the things that's so great about being back on campus this year is that we're getting to do more of the other things that we typically do and enjoy doing as a counseling center. And that means more workshops, more outreach opportunities. We were just on campus last week. We did something called Check Up from the Neck Up, where we screened 200 or I think even more students for mental health concerns and got a chance to talk one-on-one just for a minute or two with each student to give them some feedback, tell them about our services. And those are the kind of things we really love to do, just to put our face out there, allow a student to meet us one-on-one and sort of maybe demystify what they might think we're like, and show them that we're just sort of caring people who want to talk to them about what's going on for them. So anyway, that's one thing that we did, but I'll click here too to show you. We also offer workshops. They tend to change from semester to semester. So this is one that is unique to this semester, as I said, sort of anticipating the transition that everyone's going through and coming back to campus. We're running a 3-time workshop series. There was one date that's already passed in September. Then there's another in October and November. This is one that a student could come to all of the nights of it. They could just come to one of it. It's not a commitment. They can just come and check it out. And just to talk about, with counselors, I'm one of the psychologists running it with a colleague of mine. So talking to us and other students about their experience and what has it been like to be back on campus for them, things they might be struggling with, things that they might have expected to go or feel a different way, things like that. So there's 2 more of those. There's also a workshop being conducted on perfectionism, which is something that a lot of students, I think, resonate with, the ways that perfectionism can really negatively impact well-being and experience academically, socially, sort of all over the map. And so those are coming up. It starts next week on the 22nd, and then there's 2 more sessions of that. And my understanding is that that's 3 parts and students would attend all 3, but I'm not positive about that. So if a student is interested, they should call or email. There's an email on that, but they could call the center to ask. And lastly, we have an Everybody Project workshop series coming up in October. And this is to focus on body image and eating concerns. So that's just sort of like a little glimpse at the different kinds of workshops that we offer. That's for this semester. It'll be different next semester, and something for you and your students maybe to keep an eye on as time goes on. So also on our website, you'll see this is our department. You can see pictures and little blurbs from all of our faculty and staff, hoping to sort of give a little glimpse of who we are as people, so that students can maybe feel more comfortable coming in or wanting to connect with a particular counselor, which can happen sometimes, schedules allowing, but there's many of us who could work well with all of your students. So then there's a resources tab. So these are the things that students can access, never even calling us or contacting us at all. They're sort of self-serve resources that students can use. We just started a podcast last year. One of my colleagues started it, where she interviews, different faculty and staff from our department. And I think, with an eye of maybe interviewing people outside of the department as well as time goes on, with different topics from episode to episode. So that's interesting to take a listen to. So these resources that I'm showing you here are the contents created by our faculty and staff. So we have distress tolerance videos, managing emotions video. These are all different sort of strategies for coping and interacting with your emotional world. And so we try to keep them pretty short so they're user-friendly, just a few minutes each one. And so a student can really sort of just dip in and try something out, learn something a little bit new. There's breathing exercises, imagery, mindfulness, all kinds of different things. So these here are all created by us. And then these are just more external links and resources from outside of our department. And lastly, way at the bottom here are some apps. There's so many apps for mental health out there. And so this is in no way a conclusive list. I'm sure there's some that we don't know about, but these are the ones that we do that we feel could be helpful for students. And sometimes students do like that. They can download it onto their phone, and then they're not necessarily having to navigate a website or something, but these apps can sort of prompt a student to engage in different coping strategies or different exercises to relate to their emotional world. So I will talk about the other clinical services in a moment, but before I do that, I'll just click on referrals. So this is talking about referrals in two ways. One, like how might you talk to your student if you're trying to refer them to us, to the counseling center? And then a little further down will be, how might you or we talk to a student about referring to services off campus, if that is the best course of action. So basically, things to keep a look out for if you're starting to wonder, could counseling be helpful for my student? Is what they're going through quote unquote normal, or is it something that sort of falls outside the bounds of their typical functioning, the typical ways that they're feeling? So of course, just looking at what's going on in their lives. Are they able to function and participate academically, socially? Are they, is their behavior concerning in some way? Or have they stopped, keeping up with their hygiene, or is their sleep dysregulated? Things like that, that you could notice that really could sort of tip you off that, this is a student who might benefit from some additional support. And so once you have made that decision, yeah, I think I am going to talk to my student about if counseling could be helpful for them. Then, thinking about how you might want to have that conversation with your student can be helpful. The thing that you really want to avoid doing is coming off as judgmental or alarmist or critical in any way. And, you really just want to be reflective, telling them, this is what I've noticed. This is what I've heard you say to me when we talk on the phone, or this is what, this is how you used to talk about school in your classes. And now I hear you talking about them this way, or I've noticed you don't spend time with blah, 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 your friend anymore, and I'm curious about what's going on there, all of that. And then, just talk to them about it as an idea. You can educate yourself through the website or through, contacting us about the services. So you can say, hey, I know a little bit about this, and let me share the information I have with you, and, see what you think about it. And so, I'll describe the process for when a student comes in too, but it can be helpful to sort of predict that for your student. This is what will happen if you call them. And so sometimes either after a student has worked with a counselor in our center, or even just straight away, it's most helpful to refer them for off-campus counseling. And I think the important thing to keep in mind for this is that we do have a referral coordinator whose job is to maintain relationships with providers in the community, and to work with a student to find somebody who fits with their needs, obviously their mental health needs, but also can take into account things like insurance benefits and get more information about that if they need it, and help to connect the student with the appropriate provider. And so that can be helpful to know about. She also has been really great about providing some information here on what to think about in terms of referral. I'm sort of noticing the time, so I'm going to speed up and get to the meat and potatoes here of our counseling services. So basically, as I said, this is our meat and potatoes. This is what a lot of people think about when they think of the counseling center. They think about individual counseling. They might even think about group counseling. So in terms of groups, I'll just alert you that we always have groups going. They're always a little different from semester to semester. These are the ones that that we have this semester. We always have navigating relationships groups because those are always popular. So anyway, this is a place that you can check those out. And in terms of individual counseling, just to talk a little bit about the process and how to access them. The first thing any student does when they're interested in their services is to call that main number that I showed before and schedule what's called a triage appointment. Those are scheduled typically the same day. Our triage hours are from 1 to 3 daily. And so a student can call that morning, make an appointment, and in the triage have about 15, 20 minutes to speak with a counselor about what's going on and make decisions together about, what the next best steps are for the person, for the student. One of those options could be individual counseling at the counseling center. And if that is the route that the student takes, it's just important to know that we do work in a brief therapy model. So what that means is that it can be helpful for a student to have specific goals that they want to accomplish in counseling. And the counselor can help them to sort of hone in on what those are, but just to make the most of their sessions by really understanding what it is that they're wanting to get out of counseling. Sometimes students have never been in counseling before, so that's sort of one kind of conversation. Sometimes students maybe were in counseling in high school before they came to college, and now they're just sort of wanting to revisit one thing that they were working on, or something new has popped up. And so they might understand in a different way sort of how to hone in and have a short-term therapy experience be gratifying and helpful. So I feel like I was a little motor mouthy at the end. Oh, let me just also say that we do typically have psychiatric services. At the moment, we're like in the process of hiring a new psychiatrist. And so like today, there's not a psychiatrist at the counseling center, but that will change soon. And so that's a service that we typically provide for students who are also in counseling at the counseling center. So I'll just invite you to, take your own time to pop around in our website. And there's a lot of information that you can find there on your own. And if you have any questions or concerns after that, please just reach out or have your student reach out to us.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. That was a great overview of the Counseling Center. So thank you so much for your time. I'm excited next to introduce Dr. Jocelyn Manigo from the Learning Assistance and Resource Center, always known in Westchester as the LARC. So over to you, Dr. Manigo.
Thank you, Lexi. And I am so happy to meet all of you virtually. And I'm really excited to tell you very briefly about our services at the LARC, L-A-R-C, which stands for Learning Assistance and Resource Center. I want to very briefly just share with you our two main branches of services. We have one, tutoring, under which a lot of our services fall. That means students can come in to see us or meet with a tutor virtually to review content from any of their courses. But the other branch is called success coaching. And it's a little less popular, but success coaching focuses on study skills, things like time management, test preparation, or college adjustment, things of that sort. So we have students who may report to our office that may not know how to articulate their needs. So we are willing and ready to help diagnose any issues that a student brings to the table, and we're able to direct them accordingly. So again, tutoring and success coaching. So I do want to share my screen really quickly to let you know not my email. How to get to the LARC, LARC in the search. And here to our website. And in the middle is a summary of all of our services. As I said, we do have tutoring, and the lion's share of our energy and services goes toward tutoring. But I want to just share with you, this is a list of the tutoring subjects that we have. We have tutors who are possibly undergraduate or graduate WCU students who have been recommended by professors and who have obtained an A grade in any of these subjects that you see here. And you can see that most of these are general education courses in a variety of different subjects. So students can request to meet with a tutor either in person, because we now have opened our space for limited capacity, or a student can meet with a tutor virtually through Zoom. So they do have that option. Another plus under the tutoring umbrella is Smart Thinking. Smart Thinking is an online service that the LARC pays for, and it is available for all undergraduate and graduate students 24/7. I don't know how they do it, but they do. So that means that students can get help in any of the areas that you see here, and the help is given by professional tutors with a terminal degree in a lot of these subjects here. So Smart Thinking is accessible through any D2L page, and D2L is our learning management system where our courses are housed. So students can access Smart Thinking at any time. There is no additional fee for any of our services. So that's just something that we want to make sure students are aware of. And like I said, our other umbrella is Success Coaching. And Success Coaching really focuses on a lot of these subjects here, and goal setting, finals prep, self-care, a lot of what Bree shared from the Counseling Center, some of the issues that students might bring to the table might be discussed here very briefly with a success coach. So a success coach is able to make the proper referral to the support services. Our success coach pictures are here. These are graduate students who are trained to work with our students, not only undergraduate, but graduate students as well. And an extension of success coaching are what we call academic success workshops. Similar to the Counseling Center, we have these moments where we allow our success coaches to visit classrooms, or we welcome students to view any of the recorded videos that we have in a lot of these topics: digital learning success, self-care, active textbook reading, and more. So the final thing I do want to share is that the LARC does operate separately from the Writing Center, but a Writing Center is housed in our library space. They have a separate director, Dr. Margaret Irvin, and students can receive help at the Writing Center at any stage of the writing process. So we always put a plug in for the Writing Center because they are available as well to support students. So like I said, we have two main branches, tutoring and success coaching. And if by chance you have a student who does well or excels in a certain subject area, we welcome them to apply for tutoring as well. We are always welcoming applications. So it's so important that we just put a plug in for that when we're talking about tutoring as well. Back to you, Lexi.
Thank you, Dr. Manigo. You got us right back on track here with our Empower Hour. So thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, I'm excited to welcome my colleague Kelsey Matukis from OCCS, and she will describe all of the work that's happening in off-campus and commuter services. Over to you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Lexi. And I'm just going to share my screen, which I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing those words. Let me just move myself over here. All right. So we are, as Lexi said, OCCS, or Off-Campus and Commuter Services. So if your student is a commuter student, or if they're living off-campus in the borough of Westchester, you are our student population. So I'll just go over some of our services really quickly, and then Lexi will pop our email at the very end. If you have any more specific questions about your student situation, I'm always happy to chat. So number one distinction that I like to talk about with everybody who will listen is that there is a difference within Westchester between our off-campus and our commuter student population. So through the registrar, if you live off campus or you commute, you're considered a commuter. So this is just a distinction that our office makes. The off-campus students are the ones who are naturally living in the off-campus neighborhoods directly surrounding the university. They're likely within walking distance to campus, maybe biking, skateboarding is a popular option as well. So those are our off-campus students. For those students, we can assist with a lot of things, and this goes for all students, but specifically our off-campus students. We can answer questions about renting, about living in the borough, or questions you have, maybe some conflicts about living with other students in your off-campus apartment. And then naturally, our commuters are then the ones who are coming from the neighborhoods not directly surrounding the university. We have a lot of students who commute from Philadelphia area over that way. We also get some Delaware students, sometimes even New Jersey students commuting to us. And then we also have some more local students as well commuting. So for those students, we can help with any travel needs that they might have if they aren't sure of the best way to commute to campus. Sometimes that is by car, but sometimes that's by public transportation or carpooling with other students. We answer a lot of questions about parking concerns. I've already answered a lot of questions about that this year, and I'm sure there are many this year as well. So we do answer questions about that. If you have specific questions about what parking pass you should buy or what the best is for your situation, we can always answer questions about that. And then also getting involved with student organization on campus. As we know, a lot of commuter students tend to not stick around every day, all day, so they're less likely to be involved on campus, but we do our best to connect our students to our organizations on campus. And you can see that we kind of strategically put their off-campus and commuter students on the slide on the outside, where in the center we have our campus, and our job is to kind of connect our off-campus and our commuter students with the campus community, whether that be through the residence halls. Some students live on campus their first year and then move off campus or decide to commute in later years, and we find that's a popular option. So we really aim to create these opportunities to connect with students on campus. We do that in a few different ways through our Commuter Center. This is located on the top floor of Psych Student Union. And this is a wonderful space where students can come relax between classes or between meetings. It's a really great space. There's a lot of relaxation spaces, some lounge spaces. There's also some open study spaces and then private study rooms as well if you need a quieter space. I know some students have Zoom classes, so that's a really great space to reserve if you need a quiet space to do that class. We also have a refrigerator and a microwave up there if you want to store your food, have your lunch up there. There's also a computer lab with a printer and some prayer spaces up there as well. So that's a really great resource for students. We have some signage in Psych Student Union so students know where to go. The staircases are very tricky in Psych, so we do have some signage if you're having trouble find it. We also have many services. I'll just review a few quickly. So we do have our off-campus housing platform. This is new as of this past spring. It is just offcampushousing.wcupa.edu. And I can actually show you that really quickly. So this is our off-campus housing platform. Like I said, offcampushousing.wcupa.edu. Here, students can sign in with their Westchester email and password, and then you'll be able to look for housing. So if you were to click this option, you would be able to see the available apartments for rent right now. Now, right now, because most students are just starting their lease, they've just moved in, there's not a lot up there at the moment, but normally when leases are about to turn over, there will be a lot more options on here. They will also be able to go to the roommate tab. I won't click because I don't want to expose anyone who's on there now, put anyone on the spot, but there are roommate profiles that you can make. If you're a student who is looking to move off campus, but you don't have roommates to do so with, you can make your own profile up here. You can talk about what you are looking for in a roommate, what you aren't looking for, which activities you like to do, all of that fun stuff. Or you can browse the profiles that are already up there. So that's a really great way and a great resource for students to take advantage of. Get back in here. Our office also manages the free student legal aid. So a lot of students don't actually know about this resource, so I try to tell everybody. We do have free legal aid available. To sign up, you would have a student go on My WCU, and they will go under the tab that says useful links and then sign up for a judicial appointment. Again, this is a free service. It's a 15-minute consultation. It's not official representation. If you do need that, the lawyer can recommend someone for you, but it's a great resource if your student has questions about their lease. They want to make sure it looks okay, there's nothing tricky in there. If they're having any conflicts with their property owners, this is a great consult to talk about those questions. But it doesn't just have to be about housing. You can use it for anything, any legal questions that your student might have. We have a student who started a business a few years ago, and he utilized the free legal aid to ask questions about starting a business. So that is open to any topic, but it can be about housing if that is of interest to you. We also offer a certificate course on D2O. So students can take this course, and it covers a wide range of topics, including leases, finances, which is very important, being a good roommate and a good housemate. Not only are students living off campus with other students, but there's also a lot of community members that are not students who have families and jobs. So we try to teach people and our students how to be really good neighbors to those folks as well. The health and safety of living off campus, the code of conduct that they are still subject to even if they're living off campus, the borough policies, which are always important to know, and in general, how to be a good neighbor. There are also many other resources that I won't be able to touch on in the last 10 minutes or so here, but we do have a RAM Connect page. If you haven't already heard about RAM Connect, it's a great space for students to see what events and programs are happening on campus. So for the ones that I wasn't able to cover, you'll be able to look on the OCCS RAM Connect page and see what is happening this semester. We're trying to get more students on that page so you can see what's coming up. If your student is looking specifically to connect with our off-campus or commuter student population, they'll definitely want to check out our RAM Connect page. One major event that is coming up in the next few weeks is our off-campus housing fair. So this is coming up on Tuesday, October 5th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Psych Student Union ballrooms. This is a really important event for students who are considering moving off campus next year. I know it seems early to start thinking about it in October, especially if students have just started the school year, but I promise you it's never too early to start thinking about that. So students will be able to come to the ballrooms, meet some property owners, talk about the available units that they're going to have next year. They'll be able to write down their information and reach out to them if they have questions in the future. So it's a really good way for students to start thinking about, like, what do I want in my off-campus apartment? What roommates do I think I might have? What areas do I want to live in? So that's a really great way for them to start thinking about that. And again, it's never too early to start thinking about that. This is no commitment if you get a property owner's phone number or you talk about their leases or their units, but eventually you decide, no, I think I'm going to live on campus again, or I'm going to live somewhere else. There's no hard feelings there. Another great resource that we have is our Commuter Assistants. So these are student employees in our office who act as mentors that help other off-campus or commuter students with life, being a commuter student or being an off-campus student. They all either commute or live off campus themselves, so they've lived that experience. They have great tips and tricks, probably even more than I do as a professional, about living that student life. Our commuter assistants have office hours every Monday through Thursday, 9 to 10 a.m. They are physically in the Commuter Center to answer any questions or concerns that a student might have. And then Monday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m., they're available on Zoom. So this is a great way for, if your student has already commuted home for the day, they don't want to come back just to answer or ask a couple questions, they can just hop on Zoom and ask our commuter assistants. They are a wonderful resource and a great bunch of students, so definitely utilize them. And then I just wanted to go over some general tips that we usually tell our students. So I've already connected about the Commuter Center. Again, it's on the third floor, the top floor of Sykes Union. We urge students to think about food and resource options. So you might want to consider getting a meal plan, even if you're living off campus. There are meal plans available specifically for commuter students or off-campus students, but there's ones available to all students as well. So that's something to consider. I'm not the best cook, so that was something I might be looking into if I was a commuter student or an off-campus student. You can also take the Uptown Loop shuttle to the Giant, which is a grocery store. I'll touch quickly on the Uptown Loop. Is a shuttle service that goes through Westchester's campus and goes throughout the borough of Westchester, goes to the Bradford Square Shopping Plaza, which is where the Giant is located, also goes to Chester County Hospital, and then back to our campus. So that is a really great way to get to those resources for free. All they have to do is wear a mask this semester and show their student ID card. And they can also consider visiting the resource pantry in Commonwealth Hall if that is something they're interested in. Housing and parking is definitely a big topic for us. We answer a lot of questions about that. I won't go too in depth, but if you have questions specifically about your situation related to parking or housing or any of those topics, you definitely should reach out to us. We're available for one-on-one appointments, or they can ask our commuter assistants, who again have a lot of tips and tricks for everyone. Public transportation that comes to our campus includes the SEPTA and TMAC buses that directly serve our Westchester campus. You can view the schedules for the shuttles and public transportation on the Westchester website. I know the SEPTA 104 comes from Philadelphia on Route 3. The 92 comes from King of Prussia, and then the Scoop bus comes from the Oxford area. And there's many more public transportation options that I haven't memorized that also come directly to Westchester's campus. And again, we have parking that we answer questions about, and we also answer questions and help out with the Westchester shuttles. There's that Uptown Loop shuttle. There's also the South Campus shuttle. So if your student is a first-year commuter student and they have less than 30 credits, they are parking on South Campus. It's a really easy way to get up to North Campus by taking that South Campus shuttle. I've taken it myself, so I can say that I've ridden it, and it comes about every, in my experience, 4 to 5 minutes from South Campus to North Campus. So it's a pretty quick shuttle, and it's really accessible for students. Again, all they need to do this semester is wear a mask to get on that shuttle. And this is our general email and our Instagram, where we post all of our events that are coming up. If you have any questions about anything I talked about or anything I didn't talk about, you can send us an email at commuters@wcupa.edu. We do our best to always answer within 24 hours, unless it's a weekend, of course. So feel free to shoot us an email. We are happy to chat.
Thank you, Kelsey. What a great overview for our commuting students and to talk about off campus. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that's viewing today live and also our recording. This was a really great overview of primarily the top 4 topics that we talk about with parents and families every day. So we hope that this was a great resource for you. I am going to pop in the chat all of the email addresses of the offices you've seen today. They are available on our website. You can also just Google their offices and you'll be able to find them. But that is all we have. We stuck to an hour. I'm very proud of that. Thank you for joining us for the Empower Hour, and thank you for joining us for Family Weekend. We love our Ram fam. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and Rams up.